William, the medical medium. So we got a big moon out tonight, and I'd like to talk about it a little bit. Information from SOC. A lot of people struggle with big moons. A lot of people struggle with a full moon every time one is out. They have a difficult time sleeping. They don't feel themselves. A lot of people who have sleeping problems dread full moons because it's bright, and if they're not sleeping, they can see it through the windows at night. They could feel it. And if they have a history of not being able to sleep good, a full moon can be really trying. But a big moon like this especially can cause some kind of disturbance. But I want people to know to not be hard on themselves, because they may not know it's the big moon that's causing some stuff to happen. So what happens is that most people have toxic heavy metals in their brain. And those toxic heavy metals, mercury, aluminum, cadmium, lead, arsenic, copper, they tend to react with a big moon. And first of all, they tend to react with any moon, any full moon. But especially though these really, really big moons, what they do is they create like a magnetism, and the metals tend to move a little bit and shift. Not terribly, but they do move and shift a little bit. And it depends on what time of night, what time of day. The shifting can happen at different moments. And sometimes if the metals are moving a little bit, a person can't feel anything until suddenly it's the right moment, the right gravitational pull, the right timing, and then they move. And this is on a small scale, really small scale, but they move. And when they move, you can get emotional. You can get some rapid thoughts. If you're somebody that's dealing with any kind of like bipolar diagnosis, OCD, any kind of depression, depersonalization, or anxiety, you'll feel it. And if you're somebody that is highly sensitive, like even chemically sensitive, chemical sensitivities, then you'll feel it. If you're somebody that's dealing with any kind of like really high viral load or low-grade viral infection, you may have some metals in your system with it, because viruses tend to feed on metals and so forth and release neurotoxins. And even neurotoxins can have metal in them, which can react and interact with this type of big moon. But the key is to not fall for it. The key is to not get thrown by it. A big moon could mean a few days of some kind of inconsistency, some kind of emotional roller coaster ride, some kind of trigger where you're triggered easy, some kind of confrontation, some kind of sensations or feelings. Maybe some depersonalization gets like revisited. You haven't had it for a while. A big moon has a lot of pull. There's something to be said about big moons and werewolves and history with that. Whether you believe in werewolves, maybe you don't. That's fine. But there is a history about, madness throughout the centuries with a really big moon. And throughout the centuries, some people have had a lot of toxic heavy metals in their brain. And if a moon is strong enough, depending on what century on top of it, sometimes, we see where it's like, oh, it's a big moon, it's a blue moon, it's a blood moon, it's a super moon, all these different things. The moon's a little closer to planet Earth than usual, or however it is. Well, think about over the centuries, everything's changed. And so throughout the centuries, there could be this really, really big moon that happens to be a little closer to the planet than usual, creating a situation with someone that has so many metals in the brain, in certain areas of the brain, that some type of change occurred that was so drastic in someone that the whole werewolf thing came about. Same thing like the Checkal and Hiy Syndrome. I'm not saying it's happening to you or it's going to happen or any such thing, but there's these subtleties that occur. Wake up in the middle of the night, feel your heart beating a little heavier. Maybe you get a little spooked. Maybe you have a really bad dream. A healing dream, but a bad dream. Maybe you feel yourself being antsy, can't sleep as good. Look out the window and stare at the moon. The key is not to judge yourself or be hard on yourself or any such thing if you're going through a big moon period. And a big moon period isn't the day of the biggest moon. It's a week of the biggest moon. Even if it's changing and not the same as the biggest day. It's still intense and there's still a lot there. And big moons are special in many ways. Anyway, we'll talk more about the moon, but in the future. Just know that I care and I hope you guys are doing good. Keep up your healing. Keep up all the good things you do. Take one day at a time. You're working on it, you're healing. And the moon can trigger off things and then you start doubting your healing process or doubting yourself. And meanwhile, the moon is the trigger. Stay steady, stay strong, keep a light heart. Lots of love.